YouTube. Today we're watching the First Punic War, Part 1 by OverSimplified. Now, I've never learned about the First Punic War, but I really do want to learn. Kind of an older video, 3 years ago, but 32 million views is something, so let's watch the First Punic War.
The link below and get an exclusive deal with a huge discount and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Introducing our new, glorious, breathtaking bucket plushie. Limited quantity, available now, along with some Punic War character pins. Buy them, or I'll marry your mother. It's your choice.
Oh, Marcellus, you sure have a lot of dignitas. Kiss me.
Okay. Hey, Dad. Hi, son. Just reading the newspaper. What can I do?
He ate them. He ate them. That's funny.
Well, you know how you always say Rome is the greatest civilization in the world? It bloody well is. Well, I was just wondering, what makes us so great? How did we come to be? Wow. My son. Boy, let me take you on a journey. To this side of the room. The story of Rome begins with these beautiful baby boys going to town on some she-wolf mommy milkers. That's gross. You're gross! Sorry, son. You're not gross. I love you. They're called Romulus and Remus, and when they grew up in 753 BC, they...
That's interesting. No, it's actually really interesting. But I actually, when they come up with the idea, when did they come up with the idea of a
room? The story of Rome begins with these beautiful...
When did they come up with the idea of this? I don't get that.
Baby boys going to town on some she-wolf mommy milkers. That's gross. You're gross! Sorry, son. You're not gross. I love you. They're called Romulus and Remus, and when they grew up in 750...
I wonder when they came up with the idea of that. It's interesting, to say the least.
3 BC, they founded Rome. But there was just one problem. They couldn't agree on which of them should be the king. But they worked it out peacefully, right?
No. 753 BC. No. Pop.
No. Romulus caved Remus's skull in with a shovel. Here's a picture. Our first king committed fratricide? I know. Look at his face. When's the part where we become the greatest civilization, Dad? Well, you see, at first Rome was full of men. I'm talking like a real sausage party. You know what I mean? Yes, sir. So we invited some neighboring cities over for a big feast. And then we literally kidnapped all of their women. Here's a picture.
Look at that one. She's like...
He stuck him. Stuck him like apples. Stuck him like apples. Damn.
This is messed up.
You're messed up.
Ugh. Sorry. Be a better father. I promise. So then, finally, after centuries of monarchy, those tyrannical kings started getting a little too big for their britches. So we overthrew the kings and established Rome as a republic. Is that when all the killing stopped? Oh, heavens no. That's when the killing surged, baby. We went...
No. I didn't even know Rome had a monarchy. I thought it just started with the Roman Republic. Interesting.
Wild and conquered the Latin League. The Samnites. The Etruscans. Woo! What a rush. Rome's...
Captured all of Lower Italy.
Seems pretty barbaric. You're barbaric! I forgot to tell you about the time a prophet told Saturn his son would one day overthrow him. So Saturn literally... Etruscans! Woo! What a rush! Dad, Rome seems pretty barbaric. You're barbaric! Oh, I forgot to tell you about the time a prophet told Saturn his son would one day overthrow him. So Saturn... literally ate his own son seconds after he was born. I don't want to see a picture. Here's a picture. Dad! Look at that! That's messed up, man. Are we really this uncivilized? Hey! If we were so uncivilized, would we use communal toilets where we all fart and poo together in one big stinky, steamy... dirty toilet room? Yeah, Dad. We would! Clean your butt with a sponge, Timulus! But all these guys just used it! What's wrong with your son, bro? I don't want to be Roman. This is so weird. You're weird! Sorry, you're not weird. I'm sure you're probably fine. The Roman Republic. A nation that, since its foundation, had been stabbing necks all the way down the Italian peninsula. But this isn't the famous Roman Empire that ruled the known world. Not yet anyway. This is a relatively juvenile Rome, still just a regional power. In 264 BC, the big daddy of the Western Mediterranean was Carthage. Let's rewind a bit. Carthage was founded in 814 BC, when some Phoenicians in Tyre had a mega surplus of goods and decided to export those goods across the Mediterranean. They became the dominant trading power in the region, and to support their growing trade network, the Phoenicians established a number of colonies, one of which was Carthage. Therefore, Carthage began its life as a Phoenician trade colony, and the Carthaginians were actually Phoenicians, or if you're a Latin-speaking Roman, they were Punic. Hence the name of the video. Over the centuries, Carthage gradually expanded and became the region's base of power. Just like Rome, Carthage was a semi-democratic republic with its own senate and judiciary. But there were also differences between the two. While Rome was big into farming and stabbing people in the neck, the Carthaginians, on the other hand, just like their Phoenician forefathers, had built their power through trade and navigating the waves. They went here and there.
So let's see. One was based on stabbing people, one was based on the sea people. The sea people.
Selling ivory tusks, gold, and slaves. And as a result, they were rolling in it. Whenever they weren't busy swimming around in their copious hoards of money, in their spare time, they also possibly enjoyed sacrificing their children to Baal, the god of... Let me just check my notes. Ah, yes. Plant fertility. Oh.
Plant fertility? Oh boy. If you want... So they believe if you want them to get onion harvest, you gotta sacrifice a kid.
Boy, these figs aren't looking too hot.
Oh dear.
Maybe if I throw my son into a burning pit of fire, they'll grow. Have you tried watering them, Dad?
Oh dear.
No, we'll try that.
That's terrible.
Second, as a result of all their trading.
It sounds like a correlation versus a causation argument. Throwing the pit of fire isn't going to do anything, but watering the plants will. If you do that about the same times, they're going to overlap. Well, it's going to make it seem like throwing a sun in the fire did something.
Carthage had emerged as one of the Mediterranean superpowers. But wait, they said. Rome? What the heck is that? Well, I know it's a pretty obscure little country that you've probably never heard of. But this spunky young nation was about to upset the entire region's balance of power. The sides enjoyed relatively friendly relations, and it even signed a couple treaties. But it was a relationship that was practically destined to turn sour. See, Rome had a thing where they liked to aggressively expand their boundaries, often viewing such expansion as a defensive act. Kinda like when you kill your neighbor, because in you eventually, they would have tried to kill you first. Meanwhile, Carthage was extremely protective of its wealthy trade network. So if you put a very strategically important island between them, well, 2 + 2 = war. Tensions rose, and the two sides began viewing each other with increasing disdain. The hard-working Romans looked across the water at the money-hungry Carthaginians and said, "Look at those dishonest crooks. Bet they've never done an honest day's work in their lives." And the Carthaginians looked back and said, "Look at those simple-minded brutes. Bet they've never sacrificed a baby in their lives." Yeah! While war between the two superpowers seemed inevitable, the event that finally triggered it was a little unexpected. The whole thing began with a few simple mad lads on a wild night out. These mad lads are called the Mamertines. They were Italian mercenaries employed by the tyrant of Syracuse. Here. But when he died, his successor said, "Sorry fellas, we don't need any big burly men with sharp sticks anymore. You can all go home." The Mamertines, as it turned out, didn't want to go home. So instead, they went to the nearby town of Messana and said, "Hey man, we are but poor boys without..." Just so long as you promise not to massacre all of us. We promise. The Mamertines then massacred all of them. Well, not all of them, just the men. And they stole their homes and families.
Damn.
Ha!
Damn.
This is my house now. This is my best
They got the base, but then the flat TV.
dad ever mug now. And you guys are my new family. Son,
Damn.
wanna go
Playing Among Us.
play catch with your
The Apple, the old iMac.
old papa? You're not my real dad! Ugh.
Coco Bone.
Teenagers. Am I right, dear? You're not my real husband. Ugh, I'm so trapped in this marriage. Then get out! No, Messana was now controlled by the Mamertines, and they began raiding up and down the Syracuse coastline. When the new ruler of Syracuse saw this, he wasn't happy. The Syracusans began fighting back, and in response, the Mamertines said,
Damn.
"Oh crap, they're fighting back? What do we do? Quick, we'll convince the Carthaginians to come and..." The Romans found it and copied the design. While the new fleet was being built, the Romans trained rowers on land. And would you believe it? The Romans put together a full fighting fleet of 120 warships in just 2 months.
2
A
months.
staggering feat. If the Romans can
60
build a war
warships.
fleet from scratch in 2 months,
That's really good.
then why does it take you half a year to make a video? Well, my valued subscriber, I think you should shut up.
Man.
What the heck? How on earth did the Romans learn how to build a war fleet? This shouldn't be happening. From what I hear, they copied the design from us, sir. Well, how on earth did they get the blueprint, Carl? I don't know, sir. But I'll tell you what. If you're worried about
Damn.
people stealing your data, no. And
Other
you
than that,
better protect
this is a
yourself.
sponsor. This is a sponsor. NordVPN is a sponsor. So,
At Agrigentum, supply issues,
Damn.
and building
Yeah.
a war fleet.
a good
So
war
now
fleet.
the Romans have a navy.
Yay.
And it's time to put it to the test. But how does one wage ancient naval warfare? Easy. All of the ships had giant bronze rams on the front.
Oh,
So all you had to
random?
do was outmaneuver the enemy and give him the jimmies. Easy
Damn.
as pie. And so the aggressive Romans set out
Just gonna
for some
ram
good
them.
old-fashioned jimmy giving. The consul, Gnaeus Cornelius Scipio, set out for the town of Lipara, believing the garrison there wanted to join the Romans. As he entered the harbor, however, he found himself trapped by a Carthaginian fleet, and in the following skirmish, he was completely outmatched. The Romans may have had a brand new fleet, but when it came to engaging in actual combat, their inexperience showed. There was just something better about the Carthaginian ships. The Carthaginian rowers had nicer abs. The entire Carthaginian Empire had been built on expert seamanship. So, when it came to water, the Carthaginians were better, and the Romans were wetter. In their initial skirmish, the Romans were beaten so badly that the consul, Scipio, was given a nickname, Asina. And
Damn.
if you're wondering what that means,
Asina.
just drop the Ina. So what were the Romans to do? How could they possibly stand up to this Carthaginian superpower? Well, there's something you gotta understand about the Romans. Back when they found that Carthaginian ship and copied its design, that wasn't a one-off thing. Copying their enemies was as Roman as punishing murderers by sewing them into a leather pouch with a monkey, snake, and rooster, and then throwing them into a river, which is a thing they did. Wait, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, copying their enemies. Many of the most famous Roman inventions were actually borrowed.
Oh.
Aqueducts, chariot
Aqueducts.
racing, their gods. Even in
Gods.
warfare, the Romans would get pierced by a Sabine javelin, and they'd be like, wow. They'd get hacked to bits by an Iberian sword, and they'd be like, wow. And they'd copy the designs for themselves. However, they wouldn't just copy it. They would advance it, finding ways to adapt it as perfectly as possible. And
You know what? Smart idea. Copy and better. copy and advance the weapons. So now you all have better weapons than the enemy you copied. So you're, yeah.
In the case
That's
of
good.
naval
That's
warfare, the Romans realized if they wanted to beat the Carthaginians at their own
Game. That'd
they
be better.
would have to adapt.
Yeah.
The Romans excelled at combat on land, not on water. But what if, they said, we could somehow turn a sea battle into a land battle? Sounds crazy,
How?
right? Well, they made a couple of tweaks to their warship, and look, here they come again. They must love getting their asses kicked. Sir? What's that toll thing sticking out of their ships?
They're about to, oh, I know exactly what they're about to do. They're about to hook onto the ship, and then they're about to hook onto the ship. Then they're about to storm the Carthaginian ship. They're going to storm it, turn it into a land
They
battle.
really are idiots.
They're going
Look
to
at that
storm the
thing.
ship.
That'll make them blow over. I mean, look at...
They're about to storm the ship.
Bob! Bob! Get your camera out!
That's
Take a
storming.
picture of it! I mean, how stupid can you be? Let's just add a big wooden tower to our ship that'll weigh us down and blow us over in the wind! I mean, what does that thing even do?
They got high.
The Romans had built a big swinging spiked gangway called the
Gang-
corvus.
a
So
corvus?
when the Carthaginian ships approached to ram them, the Romans would just slam them. The Carthaginians tried going around, no problem. The corvus could swivel. Try going behind, the Romans would huddle to the coastline. It
Damn.
was foolproof.
Yes.
Those big, sexy Carthaginian rowing muscles could flex all they want,
Yeah.
but they were no match for the
Roman
Roman mind.
engine.
So ladies, you see,
Roman.
what really matters is what's on the inside. Please go out with me. And with
Damn.
that, the Romans, who had only just recently began dabbling in the art of naval combat, thanks to their ingenious corvus, had just managed to outclass the Mediterranean Sea. The Carthaginians were stunned, and the general in charge of the defeated Carthaginian fleet,
Was
well,
crucified.
you better believe that's a crucifixion. With their newfound
crucified.
control of the seas, the Romans could now more
Damn.
easily blockade coastal cities and supply their legions on land.
Yeah.
Surely, the Romans were now free to unleash their aggression all over the island.
Just-
Aha! Hey, Carthaginians, what are you gonna do now that we're free to rampage across the island? We're gonna go inside these walls and close this gate.
They go off.
Come on, guys, stop messing around. Come out so we can kill you. No. Oh, come on. No. Oh, no. To counter the new Roman supremacy, the Carthaginians decided to engage in a defensive war of attrition, forcing the Romans to engage in siege after lengthy siege. The war in Sicily became a long, hard, back-and-forth slug.
Yeah.
One by one, cities slowly fell as the Romans gained ground. Occasionally, the Carthaginians countered and even pushed them back, only for the Romans to rebound again. And whenever a city did finally fall, the Romans could delight in slaughtering the entire population and selling any survivors into slavery,
Damn.
which was pretty standard procedure at the time. In
That's,
general, the campaign on land was progressing much slower than the Romans had hoped, and quite frankly,
Very slow.
they were getting sick of it. So in 256 BC, they decided that something had to change. Hey everyone, my name's Marcus
What's up,
Atilius
dude?
Regulus, and I'll be one of your consuls for this year. Look, as I'm sure you all know, Sicily's being a bit of a drag. Sure, I could go and spend my entire year as consul besieging one single city, but they'll never make a naked statue of me for that.
No.
So here's the new plan. I'm gonna skip Sicily entirely, take my army, and go right for the heart of Carthage itself. I'll slaughter the men, enslave all the women and children, and when I return, you'll all build 1,000 naked statues of me.
See if this plan works. Make 1,000
Marcus,
statues of
that
him.
women and children stuff, that seems pretty evil and barbaric. No, Jim, it's perfectly normal in the ancient world. Sometimes we even chop their pets in half. Okay, guys, looks like the Romans are coming straight for us this time. And what will they do when they get here? They'll kill us all. They'll massacre each and every last one of us. They may even chop our pets in half.
That's barbaric!
No, Rob, it's
That's
actually pretty normal for the time. We'd do the same to them.
Who'll
Damn.
protect us?
Funny you should ask, Mary. That's kind of why I called this meeting. Who will protect
Who
us?
will protect?
Protect our families, our homes, our children.
Think of the children.
You guys? Ha! Don't make me laugh. Why, you're just a bunch of stupid and weak farmers. Simple-minded buffoons. Cowards. Fools. Rob here thinks enslaving women and children is barbaric.
Oh yeah, that one.
You're a snowflake, Rob.
Yes, you are. The fact is, if the Romans manage to land on African soil, we're all gonna die. A terrifying, hideous, unspeakably painful death.
Is that the end of that speech?
Yes.
Ooh. That's good.
The Carthaginians had to stop the Romans from ever landing in Africa.
Yeah, they gotta stop.
because they believed that would be the end.
Yeah, that'd
So
be
as the
the
Romans were
end
building
of
an invasion
Carthage.
fleet, the size of which the world had never seen before, the Carthaginians were preparing an even bigger one to stop them. And in 256 BC, as the Roman invasion fleet made its way south, the stage was set for a humongous battle that saw 680 warships, around 300,000 men, fighting to decide the course of the war. To this day, the Battle of Cape Ignomus remains possibly the largest naval battle in human history, all the way back in ancient times.
Damn.
So the next time your granddad tells you about the time he sank a Japanese aircraft carrier, kick him in the nuts. The Romans had a lot riding on this battle. They weren't just sending their warships, but transports as well, full of supplies and horses for their invasion of Africa. They therefore formed a protective wedge-like formation to punch through the long, thin Carthaginian line. The Carthaginian generals, however, desperate to prevent the Romans from reaching Africa, had a plan of their own. As the Roman fleet approached, the Carthaginian center feigned a retreat, luring the Romans.
They're gonna retreat. So these ships are gonna retreat, but then these ships are going to. Some of them may surround these ships, close them off, and then some of them will attack the supply ships.
in, so their outstretched flanks could envelop
Yeah.
them and get around the Roman corvus. A clever plan. But with such a huge battle and so many ships crowded together, the Carthaginians struggled to maneuver as hoped. And in the chaos, 3 separate battles emerged across the huge battle space. With the number of ships limiting their ability to maneuver, the Carthaginians became sitting ducks, and all the Romans had to do was start swinging. The Roman center came out on top and were then able to turn around and rescue their pinned down flanks. The Battle of Cape Ignomus was a
30 to 40,000 killed, 94 ships lost, comparing that to the Roman stats of 10,000 killed and 24 ships lost. They were sunk. 30 were sunk, 64 were captured. Damn.
Roman victory.
Roman victory! Alright, YouTube. That's The First Punic War by OverSimplified, Part 1. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time for The First Punic War, Part 2.